appeals court ruled that President Trump overstepped his authority when he used emergency powers to launch sweeping tariffs in April. Now, as you heard, White House trade advisor Peter Navarro says they're ready to take the case all the way to the Supreme Court. On Friday, the panel ruled that the power to impose tariffs lies in fact with Congress, the appeals court did, not the president. Joining us now, MSNBC White House correspondent Akayla Gardner and CNBC senior analyst and commentator and publisher of The Message of the Markets on Substack, Ron Insana. So, Akayla, what authority does the president believe he has despite this ruling?
Well, the president believes he has sweeping authority. And as you said, he's promising to take this case to the Supreme Court where it's likely to go. This federal appeals court essentially said that their use of an Emergency Powers Act known as IEPA was not valid. And this upheld an earlier decision by the Court of International Trade. But for now, these tariffs remain in effect until October 14. And we should clarify this only affects some of the president's tariffs. That's including reciprocal tariffs, those really broad sweeping tariffs we've seen imposed on dozens of countries, and also those fentanyl trafficking tariffs, which affect Canada, Mexico, and China. Those remain in effect. What still is allowed that they're saying is the steel and aluminum tariffs, those sectoral tariffs, if you will, on semiconductors and pharmaceuticals. Also some tariffs that President Trump imposed in his first term. President Biden also notably let those in. And they're still allowing him to revoke this de minimis rule, which essentially allows small or low price goods to come into the United States without being affected by tariffs. Those still will be ended.
All right, Ron, tariffs so far. Effective, ineffective? What's it going to mean if the country has to pay back tariffs it's already levied?
Well, we don't know exactly how much has been collected. It's somewhere between $100 and $150 billion, Katie. And businesses, as I understand it, would have to apply for rebates in order to get any of the duties, customs duties or import taxes that they've already paid refunded to them. And that might take us well into next year with respect to that. So it's still a rather complicated picture. None of it becomes clear unless or until the Supreme Court makes a decision.
That's a key right there. The Supreme Court needs to make a decision. Don't you hate the way they're talking here? And let me explain something to you guys. We can't love a democracy only when somebody you like is in power. If that's when the democracy works and you turn your TV off and you go back to your life and you just know President Democrat got it, whoever he might be, then we got a problem. We got a problem if the rules only apply when people who we like or who we are friendly to are in power. So like right now, Trump's in power and we got the people saying things like this and believing it. He's overstepping his boundaries. Well, the truth is that what he's doing should be or could be being done by Congress. Apparently, they're saying that Congress has the power to do that. Does that mean the president doesn't? Or if Congress opposes the president, then the president doesn't? Because if Congress isn't opposing the president, how can an appeal court make an appeal on behalf of Congress when Congress hasn't kicked? Congress has not complained. Congress didn't go to an appeals court and say, now, don't get me wrong, the minority members of Congress may have, but the members who would are in all, I guess, according to what they're telling us, have the power is the majority, the Republican Party, Trump's folks. Don't you think if he was doing tariffs or starting a war or anything else and there was an issue with it, they would be the ones complaining? You can't go complain for them if they don't have a problem with it. That's where it begins to confuse a lot of people who are Democratic leaning folk, and they get offended because they think Trump is breaking the law. And the language is strong. That's strong language for a president who is just doing what he feels he can do. He might be fudging. He has the Democrats have, and people who oppose Trump have been very successful at painting a picture of him that most people in the country are going with. And Trump is a very unique figure in politics and all of that. He's the speed in which he's moving is already kind of astonishing. But I think he's doing a lot of the things that most Republican presidents would do, and possibly, except the tariff. The tariff seems to be a little unique to him, but I don't understand why we haven't used tariffs before in place of sanctions, because that's what Trump seems to be doing, using the tariffs as some sort of sanctions, for fentanyl, or because you do business with Russia, so he's using tariff as a way to financially hit you up. I just don't understand why we seem to roll on our back and whine about this when as fucked up as it is, we still are the United States of America, and we can pretty much tell anybody whatever tariff we want to impose, and do it. Say fuck it, we're imposing this amount, and it is what it is. But the prices better not exceed this. And they'll be like, oh no, the prices. Why are our people who we share this country with acting like the people on the other side of the borders have more power and more control over how we run our shit? Whether you like Donald Trump or whether you like whoever, you have to understand we still have the power. It's fucked up the path he might be taking, but there's nobody who can tell us that we have to bring in your products. The American population might clamor for the shit, but if we can't get it to them in an economically responsible way, then we might not be able to do that. They might have to go without caviar, or they might have to go without a particular type of nut that they're importing from somewhere that they ain't playing ball with us like we want to play ball with them. So hey, check it out. Well, you want to put your product on our shelves? You want to put your product in this country for sale? This is the max that we can set the prices and the tariffs. And if they can't make enough money out of it, then they can take their product somewhere else and sell it. They don't have to sell it here. We are acting like half the country is acting like we're obligated to accommodate people in other countries who are selling products and including their profits and all that shit, and then handing it over here, and we add a tariff to it. Oh well, we already got our part figured out, and if you want to add a tariff in addition to that, then that's on your consumers. No, it ain't. You better back up and refigure out your profit margin, or how much you're paying your workers, or whatever the fuck else is causing that price to go up, if Trump wants to play hardball like that. And if Congress doesn't oppose him. What right does a federal fucking appeals court have? Think about it deeply. When you think of the Constitution, and when you think of Congress, and when you think of the Supreme Court, and when you think of the president, this is the federal level that we're talking about. When you think of appeals courts and federal judges, these are the federal level judges who rule over separate jurisdictions of the country on the federal level. They have no jurisdiction over a fucking president. This is where it's getting muddied up, and Democrats are taking a part of the system that doesn't apply and making people believe you're the fucking president. There's no reason for nothing you do or don't do to be appealed. That's just how it is. If we don't have this understanding as a baseline and then apply it no matter who's in office, we're going to have a problem. We're going to have a fucking problem. Because first off, we're not understanding that you're the president. No matter who you are as a president, you have the exact same fucking powers. Now, because this particular president seems to be a little more creative, a little more bold, a little more of an asshole, a little more of a whole lot of shit. But the bottom line, that does not take away his ability to do what he's doing. and Congress isn't kicking. He's got a supermajority and they ain't saying shit. But the Democrats out of Congress are, and their voice is loud, but their bite is weak. And they're trying to make, and it's so bad because it makes people who follow Democrats closely look kind of like they don't understand how politics go. Like they really have a blank spot there because the Democrats are losing right now. And you can't get losing mixed up with what the Democrats are going through. You're losing right now. Things are different. And hauling everything in the lower level courts and thinking you're going to mess up the president's agenda. It's just fucked up. Take it directly to the Supreme Court. That should be the way things roll. So some particular federal judge in his part of the country ain't doing shit that affect the rest of the country. I thought we went through this shit. This is shit like we deja vu in here, y'all. They really need to understand the way this shit go and not be making big deals and reports and talking about giving back money before we get this shit to the Supreme Court. And then the ultimate resolution will have happened. Not these lower level courts, these judges who are, in my opinion, activist judges. They have Republican ones and they have Democratic ones. And these judges are looking at it from a political perspective, not a legal one. And people are buying that because they say Trump is overstepping this and Obama didn't do that. Biden didn't do that. This guy's a criminal. He is a president who is pushing ahead, and everything that he's doing, the Democrats don't hate. Don't let him make you think, because he is a big money kind of a guy. He's taking care of the rich in this country very well, and the Democrats do the same. But it's kind of a wonderful place they're in because they get to yell and scream and appear to be down with us, while they're really secretly going like, wow. They're thinking about their constituents. If anything, they should be nervous about losing the support to the Republican Party more so, because this dude is boldly going where motherfuckers ain't gone before. And that's the problem. The Democrats ain't got the nuts to do this. And they need to. They're a equal political party. They have to oppose these people appropriately in order for this country to work right. If they're getting their ass whipped for too long, too severely, or if they got a president who is too aggressive and overstepping things that he is getting away with, potentially, and the Democrats ain't doing their job. For this government to run properly, the Democrats got to do their job. And they're not. And then they have the ability now to sway people who are just accepting on their face what they're saying without looking into it just a little deeper and saying, wait a minute. We need to look into this deeper. Is he breaking the law? Now, they're saying the appeals court's holding us up because the appeals court is saying, well, that power lies in the heart of Congress. Well, if it does, that power, and the Republicans are in power, why is this appeals court holding up anything? Did the majority of Congress come to that appeals court and say, hey, we need to know? They didn't. So what would make that appeals court feel comfortable slamming the brakes on Donald Trump's tariffs? And why can't we as a country think like we do in every other way? Like when we're talking about our military. When it comes to our trade, we do probably need to put more foot in people's ass and stop acting like they can sell their shit here like it's an open air swap meet. It ain't. And if a company like Walmart can tell people prior to the shit hitting the shelves, if you want to sell a shovel in here, this is what we selling it for. Now you work backwards. This is what you're going to sell your pots and pans in Walmart for. That's what their buyers do. That's what they do at Walmart. And if you can fit in there, you must also balance out. Your profits might not be as great, but you're going to be selling your products nationally, putting it on Walmart shelves. That's kind of the same concept I look at as motherfuckers bringing their shit in the United States to sell, and we acting like we helpless, and it's going to cost our consumers more. Why? Why would it? If it's going to cost our consumers more, then we don't want that shit. You take it back. And we're going to get it from another part of the world, or we're going to do without it. But we are not going to let these businesses from afar do what the businesses on our own shores do. Run our fucking lives. Tell us what to do. And then have our Democrats act like we helpless. And that's just the way it is. We're talking about a president versus the interests of the Democrats right now, who are in the losing minority. That's where all this shit is coming from. And they have activist judges, they have activist people, and we have to be strong in what they're telling us to do. Save our democracy. Fight for our democracy. Well, let's fight for our democracy whether we're in power or not in power. Just because we get out of power, we can't start doing things that ain't right and making people believe that things that are being done that might be embarking on new turf, new ground, but illegal. As long as you can finish a sentence by saying that power that Trump is invoking should be invoked by Congress, and Congress ain't kicking about it. That's what the Democrats keep trying to do, is make the Congress, the Senate, the House fight against Trump, and they won't. And they're like, oh, you guys are just scared of him. They just won't. That's a different party. They conduct shit differently. They don't get in power and then start fist fighting each other and not get nothing done. Apparently, they have something going good right now. And if a lower level court wants to get involved and try to kneecap somebody, this shit needs to go straight to the Supreme Court. And as quickly as that lower level court acted, the Supreme Court can act. Because obviously the Supreme Court don't have nothing on its desk right now hotter than this. So it needs to be pushed to the front, and we need to get this shit resolved. And fuck that talking about spring and winter. That's some shit that can happen in the fall.
One thing I will say is if they are indeed rolled back, unlike what Peter Navarro and President Trump have both said, this will not end the United States. World War II didn't do that. The Depression didn't do that. Even the Civil War, for all intents and purposes, didn't do that. So the hyperbole is beyond belief, I think, in this regard. This is a relatively disruptive series of events, but it would not spell the end of the United States if they were overturned.
Maybe I wonder if this is a question for a lawyer, but I'm going to ask it to you, Ron. If you are an individual citizen who's paid a tariff, say the company didn't levy the tariff in their prices, but you had to pay UPS, the shipper, how would you go about getting your money back if these are overturned?
This is a tough question. I'm not sure it's possible.
It ain't fucking possible. That makes no goddamn sense. How would you go about getting your money back? By not getting it in the first place, by having a government that's out protecting your ass, by having a way of leveraging your commodity, which is the consumers here. That's the goddamn commodity right here. They want this. And to want this, we need to set the prices. We need to let these people know you're going to adjust your labor, you're going to adjust your whatever shipping, you're going to adjust whatever you goddamn got to adjust to know you ain't selling that shovel on this goddamn shelf for more than this price. You can work it backwards. This is what the shovel costs. Work it out. Can we buy it from you or not? If we can't, we're going to find it somewhere else. Or we might have to up to and include raising the price. But if we do, it's going to be because it's made domestically. Not because you guys have decided you're going to set our prices for us and act like we powerless. Fuck that.
To go and petition the company from which you bought a particular product and then determine by how much that product was marked up, if they did it at all during this initial period here, to determine whether or not you are eligible for a refund. And then the company has to go along with it. I don't know what the legal mechanisms are for individuals getting that money back, but there is a series of avenue of redress for companies to get those import taxes refunded.
Oh, obviously it is. For companies to get their money back, but the consumer, come on, please. That's what I'm saying. She's up here acting like she's fighting for the consumer and asking dumbass questions. You know absolutely goddamn well that the consumer is not being looked out for here. or they would just run it backwards. Just tell everybody who want to bring something into our country, what is our reasonable rate. You can hit it or you can go below it to be competitive. You can do whatever you want to do, but you will not go above it. How hard is that? And for people to be telling us, oh, well, we won't ship our bananas to the, well, don't ship them to motherfuckers somewhere else. We will have to get them somewhere else for them to meet within our economic guidelines. That's not that goddamn unreasonable. And it would be so much stronger if our country could pull together when it come to bad decisions that some presidents might make. Those are going to happen. Fuck it. We've had it before, and we just had to roll with it. If you are not violating the terms of this democracy and the provisions in that constitution, then do the shit, whether we like it or not. What kind of fucking country is this where every goddamn thing that gotta happen now you gotta like? Everything is not gonna be that way. But you can control your space by controlling how you think and react to this bullshit, and quit allowing them to make us believe that this man is up there breaking all these laws and we're just growing more and more hate in our heart for him, which doesn't help us. Stresses us the fuck out. But it would be best for us to use this and figure out a way to combat this man, or either get in there where we fit in. Find out what it is he is willing to do that even our own Democrats haven't been. And then when the Democrats win and get back in power, you guys, we ain't gotta hate them. This is not war. This is business. And I just don't think that we're doing too good at it. We keep allowing people to pop up and make us think that Donald Trump hates us, that Donald Trump is trying to destroy the United States, and he just got a different take. Whether you agree with it or not, until that democracy is being violated, we shouldn't say that kind of shit. Because that is a threat in itself, to be yelling fire in a crowded movie theater when it really ain't one. That's messed up.
Funded, if indeed it comes to pass.
Kayla, I'm going to put up a headline from the Wall Street Journal. The middle class vibe has shifted from secure to squeezed. After months of tracking high-income earners' positive economic outlook, Americans' middle-income households appear to be losing confidence. I mean, that's just one of many different headlines that convey that the tariffs are not exactly making people feel good. Is the White House paying any attention to this? Are they sensitive?
The tariffs are not making people feel good because it's a feeling. The shit ain't hit yet. Ain't nobody really seen no price. The price is high as fuck, and they was high as fuck before Trump came in. They ain't went down. He did not fulfill that campaign promise. The prices is where they was. Egg prices, I think, are starting to drop. The gas is fluctuating here and there, but it feels about the same. You go to the store and spend like $200 or $300 in the grocery store, and you ain't got a whole lot of shit. You're like, God, I can't believe it costs that much, but the prices is up. It is what it is. But we can't act like, as a result of that, and still acting as a democracy, that we ain't got no control here, and that this man is imposing something that's just going to wreck our democracy, and that's just not going to work. What we need to do is work as best we can as a country with that badass decision that this particular president may or may not have made, and make it work for us. Damn, Trump's doing tariffs. Look, but we got to figure this shit out. We are not going to allow our people to go without just because this much, so that they can feel pain and hate them more. We got to roll with it. We got to work this shit out so that everybody's needs are met and our comfort levels are not exceeded. That's what's fair. Instead of just roll, oh, he's just ruining the country. Look at all that, because there's things that faucets that you can turn off and you just choose not to because he turned them on, and because you want to see people in more pain so that we can have more to complain about, so we can make sure we win in the midterms. I hate politics in the United States. That's the dumbest shit, because no matter what, they win on the Republican side and they win on the Democratic side in various intervals, but the people never really win. They never really win. They just use them and make them feel a certain way, and nothing's really changed physically, but they make you feel so much stress and so much uh, anticipation for what they tell you is coming that you feel like it's already here.
To it.
Well, we've seen in the data, inflation hasn't really seen significant uptick yet with tariffs, but that might not be true for the long term. We could see that change by the end of the year, perhaps early next year. But something that I'm watching particularly is if the Supreme Court rules on this perhaps next year, early winter, spring, if they say President Trump is not allowed to move forward with these tariffs, will the president then go to Republicans in Congress and ask them to implement that? And this could put them in a very politically sticky situation. We've seen Republicans say time and time again that they've heard from their constituents, even if they support the tariffs, that they're feeling squeezed or that they're worried about how the tariffs are going to impact their wallet. So that could put them in a very sticky situation. We know the Constitution says Congress does have this power explicitly to impose tariffs. So that's something that I'm watching if we're going to see ultimately the White House turn to Capitol Hill.
Is the stock market sensitive to this, Ron? I mean, I know they're riding high right now on AI futures, but are they going to be reacting to consumer confidence?
Well, I think there's two things that the market's riding high on, as you say, or getting high on its own supply, as it were. Number one is the AI build out, the boom, the data centers, all of the infrastructure that's going along with artificial intelligence being more rapidly deployed. And then number two, the prospects for an interest rate cut in September from the Federal Reserve has added a little extra incentive for individuals to buy stocks or institutions as well. So those are the two primary things. Now, how this decision affects the market tomorrow morning remains to be seen, because to a certain extent, if indeed the tariffs were to be rolled back, that could mean less inflationary pressure and more room for the Federal Reserve to cut rates on a sustained basis. So I think we're going to have to go through this kind of step by step to see how equity markets and bond markets respond to what happened late Friday night.
I tell you what, it's going to be complicated as long as we have political parties who campaign 24/7 and quit that shit during the off season and just really try to do the best for the American people. You know, we got so many things that are going on in this country, and the Democrats will jump on this side and say, "Hey, he's a dictator. Hey, he's this." I don't see the democracy in jeopardy of being lost. Some people might feel that way, some people may not. You know, that's on you, how you feel about that, or where you get your news or your information or your stress levels. Shit. I see how some people could feel that way with the information that's being put out there. You know, I take a calmer approach only because Donald Trump is with that bullshit, and he ain't doing anything for any people who we all know. You know what I'm saying? The black popcorn community. Who in the black popcorn community can honestly say that Donald Trump is really make or break in your life? It's more of the hyperbole of what's going on behind the scenes and the comments being made by the opposing side. Obviously, they're not going to be favorable. We understand that. It's all good. But to be so hard on our own selves and not take whoever's political season it might be at a particular time, taking that moment to do the best you can do, and you might find that a Democratic president might not be as bad as you thought he was if you really pay attention to his agenda and what he gets done, and you might at the conclusion of his term really realize he was released with the bullshit, and we could have done better or without. And the same shit with Trump shit. Trump is a liar, like the biggest liar we've ever had in the White House. But he does it for like childlike reasons, lie just to be lying. And you know, it's not like people don't see it, or we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. It's so obvious and out in your face. And I don't believe personally that privately or his character is any different or much different than any other presidents we've had. They're just a little more polished. They may have a different kind of a technique at delivering. You know, he came from the reality TV arena, and these people are polished politicians in most cases. So I could see the difference in that their deliverance, and it makes it so easy to oppose a guy like him from the Democratic side. But are they really benefiting their folks, their constituents, by lying to them and hyping them up and stressing them out. I don't see that as being healthy. And I see it as an opportunity for the constituencies to see the power that they have and the things that they can do. And not allow this trade shit and the Supreme. We clearly know, and we have to keep this at the forefront of our mind. The Supreme Court, the executive branch, and the legislative branch. Those are the three branches that make up checks and balances in our country. Not appeals courts, not traffic judges, not food inspectors, none of that other shit. All right. And as long as we keep that right and understand that the Democrats to some degree are gaslighting when they're not breaking it down and trying to act like a particular court has more power than it really got. Like Trump's gonna, pick up his briefcase and go home because an appeals judge told him that he can't play ball in that park. Come on now. That's not the way it goes. And that's not the way it's gonna go. And I just want people on here, don't get frustrated and pissed off. Either way, take in as much information, many facts as you can, and be reasonable. We can't be unreasonable and lose our head to the point where we begin to believe that Donald Trump is really worse than he is. Donald Trump is taking advantage of some of the bad policies and bad governing of some of the things the Democrats have done and some of the Republicans. He's taking advantage of it. People get frustrated with certain things that most people make it appear to us to be too big a job to attack, too big of a job to ever do anything about. So it never gets handled. It never gets dealt with. It never gets approached. This guy comes in attacking and firing on things and doing things and shutting down shit. People are like, whoa. It's the people who believe in him. It's like he found fraud or he found government abuse or he found something and he shut it down. They believe in him like some of people who believe in the Democratic side or in other Republicans. You believe in what you believe in. It is what it is. But for the Democrats to inflict the trauma on their own people in order to, that's your choir. You're preaching to these people and you shouldn't have to shock them like that. And I think that part is so fucked up. It's just not right. Nobody deserves that, to be gaslighted and all that. And especially when you're dealing with a constituency and a group of people who have been there for you, who have voted for you through thin and thick and all of that other stuff. And it just ain't ever going to be enough. You're going to keep piling it on thicker to make them never vote for that other side at their own detriment. And if the Democratic Party was being real, when you when you're in a relationship and the person ain't no good for the other person, then they should let them go. And the other person might not want to leave, but so the person who's doing the wrong shit need to let them go. Democrats, let them go. Like, comment, share, subscribe. We see you on the next Black Popcorn.